Started. Today, we're going to be talking about building common automations. Some housekeeping before we jump into the content. You have some resources within the On24 platform. So you have some downloadable content and a Recast Academy course. That's training materials that we put together to help you learn and utilize our products efficiently. And interact with us throughout this webinar. So we have the live chat. You can submit questions at any point, and then we'll have a few polls, just as the one you did now. And then coffee is on us. So thank you all for joining us. As a token of appreciation, everyone will get a $10 digital gift card for coffee. It'll be sent to your email after the webinar. So a little bit about Recast. Really, we're here to make admins' lives easier. There are currently more than 70,000 community tool users, and we have a group of you here today. We're supporting over 60 million endpoints, in total. So really just helping you defend against vulnerabilities, keep your devices and apps compliant, automate patching for you, surface critical data that you can act on, and then you can act on collections of devices at once. So really just making your jobs easier on a day-to-day basis. For our agenda, this is a part 2 of a 3-part series. So last week we talked about how to build your own right-click tools. Today we're talking about building some common automations. And then next week we're going to do your suggestions. So if there's anything that you want to see built, some of you submitted ideas last week. That form is still available in the On24 platform. So if you want to see an automation specifically from end to end, you can submit that, and we can show that next week. For today's demo, we're going to be doing building common automations. And of course, Lovepreet, our solutions engineer, will be doing that for you. Lovepreet, you want to say hi and jump in?
Hello, everybody. I've already talked to you guys when I explained my jacket, but hi again. For those folks who are new to this webinar, I'm Lovepreet. I'm a solutions engineer at Recast, a former SysAdmin. I used to manage an organization of a startup type of environment, SCCM plus Intune, the only guy for IT, help desk, SysAdmin, even InfoSec, what have you, right? So multiple hats I wore back in the day, but I guess that's why I'm here, Gained a lot of experience from all those roles. But yeah, we can get it started, Haley.
Cool. Okay, great. We'll hop into our demo.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and start the screen share. Let me know if you guys can see it. All right. At this point, you should be looking at my VMware and my virtual machine. Haley, are we okay? Is the video feed okay? All right, awesome, perfect.
Yeah.
So let's get started. Before I get into the agenda item for today, I just want to do a quick recap on what we did last time, because I know there are some new folks in the call today. So last time, what we discussed was right-click tools and what we offer in them, especially the part of recast automation. So just to do a quick rundown, most of the folks in the call today, attendees today, are from community version. And what I wanted to quickly show you is what's new coming from community and going to enterprise. There are 3 things that I explained last time as well. Those are 4 things that I'll just kind of go through quickly. First is the ability to take actions against multiple devices. In community, we can only do actions against one object at a time. In enterprise, we're going to have the ability to do this on multiple devices. Second thing I went through was these dashboards. Just a quick rundown. These are dashboards that give you cybersecurity and compliance-related data, and then equip you with the tools to take action against that data live on the spot. So we give you auditing capabilities, and then we give you remediation capabilities on the spot as well. Third thing that I talked about was this guy, Recast Management Server. This is an optional but recommended piece of right-click tools. This would be part of your subscription. What this one does, it expands the capability of what right-click tools offers as a standalone. And one of those expansions would be, especially if you're going to, cybersecurity zero trust, if that's something that's on your mind, then audit log would be something that would be important to you. We'll talk more about this. I'm going to actually show you some logs today when I do some actions. But from a nutshell, this is like, hey, every single thing that somebody's going to do with the right-click tools, we want to log for it, right? And we want to see what happened. Like, what was the error? What was the result? What was the success? All of that good stuff. And we're going to build custom permissions, RBAC permissions, right? So not everybody should have access to every single thing the right-click tools does, right? So maybe somebody should have a functionality disabled for them. That could be delete an account, for example, right? So here we can build those RBAC permissions and then assign them to the users. And the last piece, which is the star of the show, is the automation platform. So I'm going to right-click on a device, for example, go to automation, and we have Recast Builder. This is where we build stuff. In the last webinar, I kind of showed a few of these to you, like just as a sort of like a high-level overview. But in today's webinar, I'm actually going to build these from scratch. So that's what we'll be looking at. But on the right side, we get access to about 450 Lego pieces or 450 Recast actions, which we can import and build very close with. Left side is where we store those right-click tools. I call them the custom right-click tools. And then using the Recast runner, we basically run them on one device or multiple devices at a time. I think that's enough introduction on this. Now we can go ahead and start building some of them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with some user workflows today. So we could have workflows for users, right? We could have workflows for devices or both. So I'm going to start with very simple ones, which are pretty self-explanatory, but we're still going to do it from scratch. So I'm going to go to my users, right? Right-click on any device, and I can go ahead and go to Recast Automation and Recast Builder. As you can see, I have nothing here. It's empty canvas, and we're going to build it from scratch. The first one that we're going to build is called how to add a AD user to a AD group, right? Now, if you wanted to do that, how you are normally doing, you would have to go to domain controller, sign into your Active Directory, and then find the username and then add them to wherever you want them to be added, right? We're going to make that process a bit more efficient, a bit more simple, and a bit more automated. So instead of you jumping through a lot of hoops, we'll do this with pretty fast automation platforms. So add AD user to AD group. Let's get started. So the first thing is we click on the button here, new action, and then it creates a new action for you, which basically means that it's starting to build a new process for you, a new automation for you. The first thing that's already going to be in the canvas, and if it's not there in canvas for some reason, it's called start node. And that's basically where we start the action, right? So as you can see, it's already there, so I don't really need to change anything on this one. So let's name this workflow that we're building. So the name is going to be here. Edit this, and I'm going to call it, say, add a AD user to AD group. Right? And if I click on it, as you can see, it says add a AD user to AD group. So it's basically saved that. Maybe I should put webinar in front of it. Doesn't matter. All right. So now that we have this start node ready, now we're going to start adding the other nodes that basically are needed to do this. So we need to add a user to an AD group. Let's search for it. Let's see what we get if I type add. So, well, because it's 80, we're talking 80, it's most likely going to be under Active Directory. Expand it, add an account to a group. That's what we want, right? I'm going to drag and drop this in the middle. All right. So we're starting the node, and then we're adding a user to the group. Let's connect these nodes. So here, I'm going to click on this one and drag and drop and connect these two together. So now I have a start node, and then I have a add account to a group. That's all we're doing, right? This should be good enough, so to speak. Well, let's find out. I'm going to save this, and I'm going to go back to, for example, this TU3, test user 3. I'm going to right-click on it. Go to Recast Automation, go to Recast Runner. And this is the right-click tool that we built. I'm going to click Next. I'll run it right now. Hit Finish. Let's see what happens. So we got an error. It's telling me object reference not set to instance of an object. No idea what that means, right? But it failed. Not a problem. I'm going to go ahead, go back to Recast Management Server, and I'm going to go to Audit Logs. Here, you can see that those two actions that I've done, it has generated a log. So it started a node, then add account to group. Okay. I'm going to click on this View Result button. And here it says the same thing, which I guess doesn't tell me anything because I have no idea what that means. But if you look at the right side, it gives you more information. So it says SAM account name null, domain lab, and group null. Because I did not specify a group and did not specify a name, it's basically giving me an error, right? Okay, now let's go back and see if we can fix it. So I'm going to click on the start node again, and I can see what the view is. Two-grid results is great for the most part, but I would probably go with tab results. Name is already what we have specified. Display is username because we're going to work with user, and action type is user with the resource ID. We can keep this default for now. But what's most important is this arrow key. This is where the logic is happening. If I click on this, I get this, target input parameters. If I click on any one of those, they seem to be empty except domain. So SAM account name says constant and it has nothing in it. Group has nothing in it. Domain seems to have dynamically generated, and it seems like it's getting pulled from the start node. So let me explain this one more time. If I go to SAM account name, right now is empty and it says constant, right? If I change it back to parameter mapping, which would be sort of like a variable. So if you have ever done some sort of programming, there's constants and there are variables. So this is a variable, parameter mapping. I'm gonna click on this. And then I'm saying, hey, let's map a parameter from some node. And now it's asking me, hey, what node do you want to map the parameter from? So I want the parameter to be mapped from start node. Click on it and click start node. What is the parameter that I'm mapping? That is username. So username is the parameter that I'm mapping. Okay. Domain is already selected for me. And group. What is the group that I'm mapping? Right? Which group do I want this to be sent out? Now there are two ways I can do this. I can specify the group name right here, right now, or I could bake a sort of like a pop-up which will ask me the group that I want to do. For the sake of simplicity, and because this is the first example, I'm actually going to specify the name of the group. So if I go back to my config man, I guess we can use domain admins as a group. Okay, so right here, I'm gonna type this, domain admins. And now, as you can see, all three parameters have been mapped, all three input parameters. And here, this name thing that you see, this is just for like, you could keep it empty for now. This is not like mandatory or anything like that. What we're interested in plugging in action, the name will become relevant if we have like a same action 2 or 3 times, and that we just want to specify which action we're talking about. So for now, I'm just going to keep this name thing empty. All right, so now I'm going to save this action. Now I'll go back to test user 3. And I'm going to, actually, before I do any of this, let me go to my domain controller. And I'm going to go to my users. Right here, I'm going to open test user 3. And member of, so right now it's member of domain users. And that's it. It's not member of anybody else. Okay. Go back to config man. Right click on test user 3, recast automation, recast run. Hit it, next, run immediately, finish. Is successful equals to true, and error message null, stack trace null. Okay, hopefully this worked. We can find out. If I go back to my domain controller, close it, reopen it, and there you have it. This user has been added to a domain admin group, right? Now, in my environment, it was super easy because I have just 3 devices, right? It's a lab environment, and I could log into domain controller and just do it here if I wanted to. But in your environments where you have so many devices, to log back and forth and to find devices, this could be a huge pain. And here, we built this action inside config menu. So without having to do back and forth, we can do it literally at the same time. That is the power of automation. And because I wanted you to see how valuable this audit result is, I made a mistake so we can actually see and find why and how we will use these audit logs. So if I go back here to the audit logs and I refresh the page, so now it has created a new entry. If I go right here, check this time it says success. And as you can see, those parameters which it wasn't able to find earlier, now it's able to find and it's able to map them, and it has done for me. Right? That's the first example, quick and easy and painless. The second one is going to be just teeny tiny bit more complicated. Well, complicated is a tough word to use, but it's fairly easy. The second example that we're going to look at is how do we actually compare two users and we see what groups they're on, right? So sometimes I should say that an example that just comes to my mind is I hired a new IT staff member, right? And I want him to have the same exact permissions that I do, or same exact permissions that another different IT guy has. So I want to compare and contrast. That's what we're going to build right now. So click plus sign, new action. Same thing here too. We'll name it whatever, webinar. Oh, it's not typing. Webinar compare 80 groups, something like that. All right, start node. That's the default action, and that comes pre-built for us. Or if it's not there, you can just add it using the search bar. So what are we doing? We are basically comparing 80 groups of two users, and then we're going to see what exists in what and what exists in the other, and what we can add and whatnot. So in essence, we need to grab what they are members of, get 80 group membership. That's sort of like what we're getting at, right? Let me see if we have something like that. So get group, something like that. Nope, can't see anything. Or maybe it should be get account. Okay, I don't think. If search is not pulling up anything, just because it's going to be Active Directory that we're going to be comparing against. So let's see if we have anything like this in the Active Directory. Okay, get 80 computers, get containers. Okay, how about let's see. How about get account group or something like that? Get. Let's see all of the gets. So we have get in here, get 80 container, get 80 group, get account. Okay. There could be a one for account. Not sure why it's not searching up in here. Ah, there you go. No, that's add. Sorry. Get account group membership. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one we need. Okay. All right. So we found it. It was pretty sneaky, but we found it. Now we are going to compare this against two users. So I should grab another one. Now I'm going to connect these two. Here and here. Okay. So two users, two connections, and two comparisons. Would it work this way? Not really. Why? Because what we learned from the last one is that we have to map the parameters. We have to map the parameters in those arrow keys that we did. So I'm going to drag and drop. Sorry, I didn't save it. Drag and drop this one more time. Add them. Add it again. And now, if I look at these arrow keys, this is empty. So it's not going to work, right? That's what we've learned from the last time. So for one user, which is going to be the user that we're going to right-click on it, let's name it right-click user, right? That's going to be the user where we're going to right-click. And then there's another user that we're going to compare this against. So this one we can name guess we can name it existing user or something. All right, so here, same thing I'm going to do here. So this is the user that I'm going to right click on. So SAM account name should be pulled from the start node. Parameter mapping, node would be start node, and then parameter is the user. Domain is pre-filled, so I don't have to worry about that. Recurse we don't need to use. Good. But how do we get this? Like there has to be some sort of input parameter that will ask me, hey, name the other user. Name the user that you want to compare this against. That's where we're going to build it here. So I'm going to go back to start node. And here, as you can see, this one says custom input parameters. Select the parameter type. Obviously, it's going to be string because I'm going to have to type it in. So string and add. String, and I will say this is going to be a text box where I'll type in. And I'm going to name it existing user. Same thing again. It's a text box, fast. All right. So now I'm going to save. Now this is saved in here. So that's going to be the input parameter that it's going to ask me at the start node, like the moment I right click on. And then this input, whatever I would type in here, that has to be mapped to this guy. So if I go back here, sorry, this arrow key, and this time SAM account name would be parameter mapping, node would be the start node, and the parameter here is going to be this custom variable that I built, custom input parameter that I built. Click on existing user. So that's mapped. Domain is mapped. Recurse we don't need. All right, so save it. All right, let's go back to config man. We are going to go ahead and right click on test user 3. Go to recast automation, recast runner. Compare 80 groups. Click on it, hit next. Existing user. I can use my admin account, which is lsing. Type that in, hit next. Run immediately? Yes, sir. There should be another pop-up here. I think I made a mistake. Let's find out what mistake I made. Anybody want to guess in the chat? Why I couldn't do it? Why I didn't see the result? And why it do this one? Like instead of like 2 pop-ups, it's not giving me any sort of like information here that I want to see. Let's take it back to the builder. Let's see what mistake I made. Look at this. What does it say? 2 grid results. And then the result is showing me 2 grids. And it's just telling me successful and unsuccessful. What if I change it back to tab result? And then save it. And now I run it. Let's see if it will do something. I don't know. We'll figure this out. Does that make sense? See, this is important. We make errors and then we find them. What was the cause? This is how we learn. So now, because it was a 2-grid result, it was just showing everything in those 2 grids. Because when I tapped, I can actually see what are the group membership for the right-clicked user, which was this guy, TU3. This guy doesn't have much of permissions. So just 2 of them, domain users and domain admins. But existing user, which was lsing, which is kind of like the admin of my system, he is part of so many groups. So he's domain users, DSCP admin, schema admin, and whatnot. And then from here, I can compare and add these people to the groups where I want. Right? My goal of today's demonstration was not only to just showcase stuff, but also to showcase how we can troubleshoot, how we can make mistakes and learn from them. Right? I had one more planned, but I think we're almost to the time. Haley, you want me to hand it back to you? I think it's time. It's 11:27 now, right?
Sure, that's fine.
Sorry, I was super slow. I guess I needed to do it super fast, but I wanted to showcase how we do troubleshooting as well.
No, it's fine. I think the troubleshooting, is important. So I'm glad we were able to go through that. So we have another poll for you. If you want to learn more about automating tasks in general with right-click tools, Builder and Runner, learn how to save you time and resources, let us know. And we can reach out to you and show you some things, custom to your environment and to your workflows. So we'll give a minute to complete the poll. And if you have any questions, you can drop them in the chat. I think I saw one come through, Lovepreet. If it fails, should it indicate so, like a red banner?
Yeah, it does. It gives you the pop-up, and it also gives you the error code where it tells you that why it failed. And if you want more details, then go back to the audit log, just like I was showing you, and then it's going to give you even more details, why it failed, what was the parameter, what went wrong. That's where the audit log and RMS becomes even more important. I said it was optional, but I would highly recommend.
Jason said, no, show the last plan. It's super interesting. We can show it in next week's. We try to keep these short for like a coffee break, but we'll be doing a lot more of these, technical coffee break series. If you have any suggestions of something you want to see in particular, submit it on the form so we can understand like what workflows you're thinking of that you have to do all the time and you really just run in the background. James asked, where is the poll? You should see it on your screen. Okay, I'm going to close this out. All right, so our next webinar, same time next week, we're going to be doing your suggestions in action. So we've got, we received a couple submissions last week. They're still kind of filtering in, so if you have any of those, we're going to look for any commonalities, people who are suggesting the same types of things is what we'll show next week. We appreciate all of you for being here. You can sign up for next week's webinar. We'll also send a follow-up email with your gift card, and we're going to be doing the same thing next week too. So if you want more coffee gift cards. Thank you all. Appreciate you for being here. Send us any questions you have. We're happy to help. Bye.